I'm not sure something got.
I do.
And, good afternoon, your witness.
Thank you. Can you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
First name is Colton, Colten. My last name is Eddie, Eddy.
Thank you. Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Bayonet Division, Michigan State Police, contracted through, Midland County Sheriff's Office. That's where I'm employed.
Thank you. What is your role with Bayonet?
Assortment of things, mostly, investigating, illegal narcotics. We do a lot of search warrants, controlled buys, things like that.
Are you a detective?
I am.
Taking you back to on or about July 10th of 2024, did you participate in a search warrant of a residence on Birch Park Drive?
I did, yes.
Okay, now, what did you search?
I was tasked, when the emergency support team was done clearing the house, with the upstairs, southeast bedrooms. We were notified by that, the emergency support team that both, Charles and Patricia were located in that bedroom, so that's where I started my search.
Okay. And what did you search inside that room?
I searched everything.
Okay. Did you locate anything of note?
Yes, a few things. First thing we found was a gun on the bed. It was underneath the sheets. Once we peeled back the sheets, there was a pistol laying there.
Okay. Did you seize that pistol?
Yes.
Okay, was that pistol loaded?
I can't recall if it was loaded or not.
Okay, did you look at any ammunition in the room?
There was ammunition under the nightstand, next to the bed, right adjacent to the bed. It was in a, like an old ammo can.
What kind of gun was it?
It was a high point. Pistol.
Thank you. Did you, in looking at the ammunition in that ammunition can, did that appear to be pistol ammunition?
Yes.
Now, aside from the high point and the ammunition, what else did you locate?
Narcotics.
Where were those?
Narcotics were located next to the bed on a TV stand, next to a digital scale, and I believe there's also an iPhone next to all that on the TV stand.
They were sitting on top of the TV stand?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Were they on top of the TV stand or in a drawer?
The narcotics,
Yes.
is right on top, or the nightstand, you could call it,
Next to the scale?
next to the scale. With some baggies, plastic baggies.
Were there anything in the baggies?
There were some empty baggies and there was, suspected, crack cocaine found inside one of the plastic baggies.
Did you look at anything else? Inside that room?
Money,
What about pills? Do you recall?
I don't recall pills.
Do you have your report in front of you?
I do,
If you reviewed your report regarding the pills, would that refresh your memory?
it would.
Take a look at your report. I direct you to page 8 of 9.
Now that I do look at report, yes, we did find pills in the courthouse.
Do you recall, after reviewing your report, where those were located?
This was also on the TV stand. Or, excuse me, the nightstand next to that.
Right, in that same bedroom?
Upstairs, southeast bedroom,
Same bedroom?
yes.
Did you yourself have any contact with Mr. Barnes?
He walked by me outside and we didn't say anything.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Herman?
This bedroom was also, his fiance was also in that bedroom, is that correct?
That's what I was notified, yes.
Okay. Was anybody in the room when you entered?
No.
Okay. Did you or anyone else question the fiance?
Are you referring to Tricia?
Patricia? Yeah.
I didn't talk to her, no.
Okay. I have nothing else then, Judge.
Any redirect?
No.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Be well.
At this time, the people will call Sergeant Stockwell.
Okay.
Sergeant, if you could approach. And pause right by me, right by the black microphone, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do.
Here, concern. Your witness.
Thank you. Can you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
David Stoppa, David Stoppa.
And what is your occupation right now?
I'm a detective sergeant with the Michigan State Police, currently assigned to the Bay Area Narcotics Enforcement Team.
And in general, what are the functions in Bayonet that you perform on a daily basis?
I'm a supervisor at Bayonet, so I supervise a narcotics squad of 3 troopers and 3 officers from local agencies. Generally speaking, supervise them in the investigation of narcotics crimes. Most likely, as an overview, we do controlled purchases of narcotics, surveillance operations involving narcotics purchases in high areas. We execute search warrants. We plan and execute arrests of narcotics offenders and high value targets.
How many total years do you have in law enforcement?
I'm in my 27th year.
And how many years total do you have at Bayonet?
I was with Bayonet as a trooper for 3 years, and this is my 2nd year back to Bayonet as a detective sergeant or supervisor, so over 5 total.
Okay. Have you ever investigated trafficking or sale of narcotics?
Yes,
And have you ever been qualified as an expert in the sale of trafficking narcotics?
yes, I am.
How many times before?
Not sure, I have over a dozen. I've been qualified as an expert in Bay, Midland, and Saginaw County courts, both district and circuit courts, and I've also testified in federal court and also in front of the state senate.
Okay, is that specifically on cases involving the sale or trafficking of narcotics?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe your prior training and experience as it relates to the sale of narcotics or investigating the trafficking of narcotics?
I've attended both basic and advanced narcotics school, surveillance school, freeway drug interdiction school, the follow-up or continuing education, which is a yearly continuing education, both in narcotics identification practices, best practices, sales, and also interdiction practices.
Have you yourself dealt with investigations involving crack cocaine?
Yes, I have.
How many would you say?
Estimating probably between 50 and 100.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would move to qualify Detective Sergeant Stoppa as an expert in the field of narcotics trafficking.
Voir dire, Mr. Herman, or no objection?
No objection,
For
Judge.
purposes of,
For the purposes of the prelim.
court will find Detective Sergeant as an opinion witness. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Judge. And in general, Sergeant Stoppa, when you're investigating these types of crimes, what are some of the things you look for in determining whether someone is in possession for their personal use or for trafficking?
There are numerous things that usually designate one or the other. the amount of narcotics that are found or the different types of narcotics that may be found, packaging materials and or a scale for weighing materials, bagging, again, that goes along with packaging materials. Cell phone information on cell phones that may be related to conversations related to trafficking, narcotics. How the, depending on what type of narcotics are found, how the packaging of those specifically, individually, numerous individual, one bag, different bags for different types of narcotics, things of that nature. Also, the amount and denominations of U.S. currency that may be located.
You mentioned the amount of narcotics. Would that be quantity, weight?
Correct.
Okay. As far as crack cocaine goes, what is the typical use amount for crack cocaine?
So a typical use amount is between 0.5 gram to 1 gram.
Okay, so, for example, 3 grams. In your opinion, would that be evidence of personal use amount or something else?
That would, for me, I would tend to believe that would be sales amounts as opposed to personal use amounts, just because you're looking between 3 to 6 times the amount of a normal user amount with 3 grams.
Okay. Right, I would have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Mr. Herman?
So you say that it's about 0.5 gram is for personal use?
Yes, sir. Generally speaking.
People don't buy more just so they can use some later?
Sometimes, but not always. I guess you could say it's a case on case basis.
Okay.
You know, it all depends on really the amount of funds that you have. One of the things that is a bit of a misnomer is the fact or the thought that if I have more money, I'll buy more drugs and I'll just keep what I have for later use. But a lot, if not most or all users, once they reach a certain amount, really lack that self-control. So if I have 0.5 gram and it gets me high, but I have 3, 4, 5 extra grams here that I was able to purchase, I'm not going to generally leave that for another time. I'm going to use all that, which is why you have not a lot of, but one of the factors in overdosing.
Now, were you present during the execution of this warrant?
I was, sir. I was the tabulator for the search warrant. So the
Okay.
items were brought to me and then I put them on the return tabulation.
Okay. One of the things it sees was there an iPhone?
I believe so, but if I may refer to the report, I can give you a definite by looking at the property section. Yes, property number 8 is a Samsung smartphone.
Do you know if anybody looked in that phone to see if there were any messages regarding drugs or anything of that nature?
Again, I have to refer to the report to see if that conversation was had. Normally our process is during the interview portion with the suspect. We request to get permission because most phones are protected by a code for facial recognition. So you need their permission to get into the phone. And then if they give us permission, we'll have them sign a consent form and we'll usually go through the phone with them right there. We really don't like to take the phone if we don't have to, just because they're difficult to get into. They have to go to our computer crimes lab and that's one of many before they can get to it. So it sometimes can be a while before we actually get any potential evidence off of it if consent isn't signed. So what I'm doing now is looking through the report quickly to see if an interview and consent for that phone was given. Mr. Barnes invoked his rights and did not speak with officers, so the subject of the phone wouldn't have been breached, which is most likely why it was seized. So as I sit here today, I have no knowledge of what's on that phone.
Okay. Do you know on the handgun that was seized, do you know if, was that ever checked for prints or anything of that nature?
It was not, and that's a policy of the crime lab for firearms. They're not checked for fingerprints unless there is any indication that ownership could not ever be discovered without fingerprints.
All right, that's all I have, Judge.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Detective Sargent. It was a good day. Be well.
Thank you.
Any further witnesses?
I have no further witnesses, Judge.
No proofs?
Not for purposes of prelim, Judge.
Motion?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did obtain the defendant conviction for case number 950101191FH, 2 counts of armed robbery, 1 count of felony firearm, establishing his felon status, as well as his felony firearm second offense that he's currently charged with. I would ask, I know we've already admitted that.
No, well, I think by stipulations, what we'll do then is just get that admitted as, and then call it People's Exhibit number 1.
Was one, thank you.
So we'll get that thing done. That only housekeeping matter that I had.
Thank you, Judge.
Was it Rich? Okay.
Thank you. We've heard testimony today from several law enforcement officers that a search warrant was conducted at defendant's residence. He was located there in a southeast bedroom with his girlfriend. Detective Eddie searched that room and located a gun in the bed sheets where Mr. Barnes was previously located at, as well as ammunition next to the bed, as well as baggies, scales, crack cocaine on the TV stand. There was a pill bottle that we don't have any lab results back on for that. So I can't make any argument that that was narcotics. However, we do have true narc results from the crack cocaine rock that Detective Sergeant Stoppa did indicate. 3 grams is usually more than personal use. Most people have 0.5 grams to 1 gram. So Judge, I think given all the factors of what everything was found in this bedroom, I think that the defendant did have possession of intent to deliver all of those things, considering the baggies, et cetera. He's obviously a felon. We've already established that for the gun counts, the felony firearms that go with it. Regarding the last count of maintaining a drug house, the defendant did maintain this bedroom where he was located, and drugs were located in there. So he did maintain a dwelling that was used for the keeping or selling of controlled substances. So I believe we met our burden on all counts, Judge. I'd ask you to bind him over as charged.
Okay. In response for the record, Mr. Herman?
Your Honor, I didn't hear any testimony that would establish that Mr. Barnes was in possession of these drugs. We did hear that his fiancee shared that room with him. There was nothing to indicate that Mr. Barnes exercised any control over this contraband. Also, I haven't heard that we haven't heard anything to determine whether or not this is even Mr. Barnes' home. Apparently, he was staying there with Patricia. Maybe this was Patricia's home. We don't know. So on those counts that relate to those, Your Honor, I would have objection to bind on.
All right. Well, the purpose of today is to determine whether or not the case can go forward. Mr. Barnes is cloaked with presumption of innocence. That presumption maintains with him throughout the course of these proceedings. Again, it's just to determine whether or not the people have established that a crime was committed and that there is probable cause, a little bit of evidence, in order for that this case can go forward. So a trier of fact may make that determination. So in, as some lawyers may call my maitre d' function, I will assign the bind over to reserve the table for the trier of fact or any other future proceedings in this case. So I'm signing the bind over. Anything further from the people?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Herman, anything on behalf of Mr. Barnes?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right. Let me just ask, Mr. Barnes, I do know that you're seeing Judge Trice on the other matter. And then you're seeing him next week? Next week?
Yeah.
All right. Do we know where Judge Trice is going on that other matter?
Not really. He's waiting to see what happens here. I'm assuming this case will be assigned to him since he's got the probation violation.
So it is then the probation violation that is?
Yes, and this is the underlying case.
All right. All right. Let's do this. I believe that I put bond conditions on. I think we've taken the bond address the issue of bond as well. I think it was originally set at higher amount, based on the testimony that I've heard. Well, the guns are certainly important issue that the court has for the safety of the community and so forth. I don't believe there's any indication that Mr. Barnes has not come to court on other occasions. What I am going to do is drop that bond amount down, but I am going to place him on a GPS tether should he make bond. So bond will be set at the 20,000 cash surety with GPS. And then, all right then.
John, would the court consider a PR bond? Mr. Barnes telling me that he's lost his job. He had a job at the Texas Roadhouse, I believe. He has no means to even post bond.
Ms. Kozlowski?
Your Honor, I'm just checking to see, my understanding is that his bond is revoked in Judge Trice's case. Yeah, that's my belief here. He was revoked on a probation violation. I think granting him a bond now would mean that he would not give any credit towards any resolution that we have in this matter. So I would actually ask the court.
Well,
Yeah.
I think part of the reason, one, based on the testimony I've heard, the main issue that right now this court has going forward is safety of the community, safety of the defendant, and assurance that it'll come to court. I have no indication he doesn't come to court. Unfortunately, his frequent flyer card does have some points on it as of recent. But, so I think that checks off the part that he's gonna come to court. Second part is now the issue with regard to the community. I believe that the GPS is in accordance with court rule and statute to do that. The bond is in place for the simple fact of that he does maintain also credit on this case if it's applicable. And so, are you counsel for the probation violation
Yes.
as well?
Yes, I am, Judge.
So then I imagine this case is gonna go also to Judge Trice, since he has the other matter. And then I'll leave Judge Trice to address the bonds on all cases. So,
Thank you.
all right then. Thank you.
Thank you.
So.
Look off to your right. Right back in the hallway. Yeah, just keep walking over.